This is Bloomberg UTV.
One of the world's most favorite authors, Alexander McCall Smith, has written 60 books that have sold more than 20 million copies around the world in 45 languages. Trained in medicine, McCall Smith has gone on to create some of the most memorable characters of our age, including the Botswanian detective Precious Ramotse in the best-selling series Number One Ladies Detective Agency, and the trial and tribulation-weary 6-year-old Bertie in the Scotland Yard series. In this interview, McCall Smith talks about the future of paper books in the world of Kindle and deriving inspiration from R.K. Narayan's Malgudi series. In a new decade, we're on the verge of a new decade where the world seems less ordinary and less simple than ever before.
Yes.
In a world like this, what is the future of those small joys? And indeed, in the world that you come from, the world of publishing, which is, all about Andrew Wileys, who are called the jackal, and furious bidding and all of
Yes,
that.
yes.
And everybody at the turn of the decade saying it's all going to be tougher and more furious, and we have to get the big names, and we pay great money. What will the future of writing and indeed the world of publishing be in the next decade?
Well, I think it's certainly the case that publishing, like many industries, is experiencing a lot of strains and I suppose changing in a way. Obviously, there's the whole issue of the electronic book and how far that's going to replace the conventional book. I don't think it will, really. I think it might bite at the edges of the traditional book, but I think the book is going to survive. I think probably what causes me a bit of concern is the thought that there might be less variety, that we might have less choice because of the economies of scale, and it becomes easier for the very large chains of bookstores just to promote the works of one or two writers whom they know they can sell. And that might push out people at the edges. So choice may be a little bit limited, and of course it's very sad when we see variety being reduced in the world. But I think there's obviously still going to be a call for the sort of edification, entertainment, and education that the book alone can give.
I wanted to ask you, in a sense, you're saying what we are saying about the movies, about publishing too. The Avtarification of movies in a sense. So there will be one James Cameron, and Avtar will make $1 billion. However, the indie films, as it were, the independent work, the smaller niche works, will find it actually, we always believe that with the spread of information and technology, more voices will come out. Actually, what's happening, it's always the big voices who are getting more people.
Yeah.
And they're sucking up, audiences from the smaller voices, independent voices. Is that what's going to happen in publishing too?
I suspect it will to an extent, but I think that there are interesting comparisons with the world of film, in that, as you say, that the new technology in many respects is liberating for people. It enables people to publish their own books, or it enables books to be published on demand, which is another interesting development. And so publishers don't have to commit quite as much money to a book as they would in the past with the old technology.
That's right.
So I think there have been those changes. I think that the individual voice, the quirky voice, the smaller voice, is always going to find its way forward. It's just that those voices won't really be in the mainstream, so to speak, whereas in the past I think they've been able to be in the mainstream.
You write books that, I was coming to the festival and somebody told me about your books, and I found it such a wonderful metaphor. So this friend of mine said he writes books that are meant to be held in your hand and turned over and the pages smelt and then read. We are entering a world of Kindle. We are entering a world of technology where perhaps this entire rack of books would actually become 3 DVDs or MP3s.
If that.
Yes. Will that happen in our lifetime? Will that happen indeed? much less than our lifetime. Will that happen in the next decade?
Next week.
Next week, perhaps.
Yeah.
Will all this go?
No, I don't think all that will go, because I think the book, the physical book, still is a very satisfactory object. If you sat down now, let's say that the book had never been invented, if you sat down now and you wanted to design something which you could carry around in your pocket, which wouldn't be so small that you would lose it, that you can actually feel, that you can turn the pages over or put a bookmark in, all of these sort of things that you can read when you're in bed and then drop and not cause injury to anybody, that sort of thing, then they'd come up with the book. I think you'd then invent the book. So I think the book as an object has a continued future. And of course, aesthetically, there's nothing to beat a beautifully produced book. A beautifully produced book is a little work of art. It's a little gem. And I can't get as enthusiastic about a Kindle or a Sony ebook reader.
Yes.
You know, I wouldn't describe them as gems. I'd say they're clever inventions. But I'm not sure whether I would say that they are as aesthetically pleasing as the book.
But that's your generation. That's
Oh, yes,
perhaps even
yes.
mine.
Yeah.
But we are entering a phase where there's a whole new generation. Reading must appeal to a
Yeah.
whole new generation that grows up, not
Yes.
with the books, but actually with computer games, with email, with mobile phones and SMS technology. For them, I wanted to ask this of you, one of the world's highest-selling, most popular authors. Do you see, in order to appeal to a whole new generation, do you see technology being able to do that? And indeed, if it actually allows you to reach out to a whole new audience, is it necessarily a good thing or a bad thing for publishing?
Well, I think as long as publishing adapts to the new technology, if the new technology actually does what you say it might do, if book publishing and authors adapt to that and they say, well, this is the new way it's going to be, in the same way in which people adapted from in moving from hot metal type to electronic type, if people do that, then that is fine. And I think authors are going to have to accept that their books are going to be published in electronic form as well as in conventional books. It may well be that 150 years from now, people will look back and say that a really crucial role in the survival of English, good English, was India.